Hello everyone and welcome to Blank First Page. My name is Lucas. It's the end of December 2022. My current field notes has come to an end, so it's time to pick a new one and set it up. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the entire process I go through every month, pretty much every time my field notes is filled up. And I'll share with you what that whole routine looks like and how I manage my whole note-taking and notebook system around this process. The outline of the process is basically I look at what is in my current field notes that's just been completed, I pick a new one, I transfer information over from the current one to the new one if there's anything that needs transferring. I've got a few of my reference notebooks here where there may be specific type of information I'll talk about that needs to go from my everyday carry into one of these. And then finally I'll set up my new field notes so that it is ready for my everyday carry use. To start off with, let's look at the current field notes. So this one is the National Parks edition field notes. It's number 92 in my field notes use. And this is the Hawaii National Parks notebook, which is one of 12, I believe, in the series that field notes released. The look of this one is probably my least favorite from the entire series. I think because when it is new, it's just plain purple notebook. There isn't much detail that's immediate in the cover, but as it has worn in, because the actual card that it is printed on is yellow, the purple has worn away to reveal the yellow underneath, and I'm now in love with it. As usual, it's at its peak texture as soon as I'm going to finish it, but that is typically the way with field notes. I started this one in November, so it's lasted just over 4 weeks. I've been to Sicily with this notebook, and it's got just their standard graph page on the inside, and the rest is just standard field notes features. So now, for the most exciting part of this whole routine, picking the new field notes. So behind me I've got my entire field notes collection. This section roughly is the blank field notes, so I'll bring them over to the desk and have a look through to decide which one I want to use next. So when I first got into field notes, I used to use them as packs. So if I started a particular pack, I would use all 3 or all 6 within that pack. This is one of those stationary rules and obsessive compulsive things that I had in my head. Eventually I started getting bored of some of the repetition, especially when there were sets of 6 that for me was pretty much half a year of using field notes that were in the same theme. I love using field notes, so I didn't want to get bored by them in any way. So that made me overcome this rule of having to complete packs in their entirety. So now when I get a new pack, they come all apart, they go into this random order here on the shelf, and I use whichever ones I want. What I try to do from one field notes to the next is to vary the color, the texture, the specifications, and so on, just to give myself variety in the notebook. And it just makes the process a bit longer, so I can sit and play with the field notes a bit longer to decide which one I want. So I've actually used a couple of the national park ones in succession, so I'll probably pick a different one. There's a few ones that I really like, and those I tend to hold off from using to kind of space out the enjoyment I have for using them. For example, these ones, which were the Great Trails, I think, or something like that. I have 2 packs of them, and I've only used one so far, and it was relatively recent, so maybe I won't use that. Haven't used any of these yet. These were I think the 50th, yes, the 50th quarterly edition. They've got these nice details inside. I haven't used a red one in a while, so maybe we'll leave that on the top. Red one, these I love. These are the Autumn Trilogy ones. They've got the embossed leaf in there, very nice. I don't have many of those, so maybe not yet. These I've used recently as well. Yellow, this one is dot grid as well, so I haven't used one of these yet, and these have this amazing linen paper in them that's different to any of the others, so they might be a good one. I have these State ones, they're also a linen cover and they've got a plain inside, which I like. But the blue is close to the purple that I've been using, and the yellow is there too, so maybe it will have to be the red one. With the Mac. Okay, bring these guys back. So I've got my old field notes, my new field notes, and now here I've got a few of my reference books. So because this is an everyday carry, it's with me all the time, so any thoughts, notes I have go straight into here before they go anywhere else. This one here is a long-term notebook I use. It houses my books to read list as well as books I have read. So if I've noted any books or book lists in here, I will transfer those over. This is my investing notebook. One of the things I do in my spare time is I learn about investments, I try to analyze companies, and I use this to kind of do my workings in. If I've got any ideas in my everyday carry on investments, or I've noted specific things I need to read or learn, I'll transfer them over to this investing notebook. And then finally, I'm currently working on a book/short course idea. It's just a small project that I'm trying to develop, so I've got a notebook and a pen assigned to this one, and I've got a bit of a different method here that I'm trying out to piece together this project. So if I've taken any notes from here that I haven't yet transferred over into the project notebook, I'll take the opportunity to do that as well. Okay, so there was pretty much something to transfer into each one of my other ongoing notebooks, as well as transferring information from my old into my new EDC. So generally there's a few categories of notes that I transfer over from old to new. One of those is food that I'm making at the moment. So I'm in a fresh pasta making routine at the moment. So I've got a quick recipe that I'm using that works really well, so that probably a couple of times this week when I'll be making fresh pasta, I will whip out my pocket notebook very quickly and have the amounts of flour and so on that I need to make the recipe. Then there are these things that I've circled, which are notes or ideas that I want to remember. So I don't try to memorize anything. One of the ways I use notebooks is as a second memory. And it's a strong belief I have that one of the ways to kind of imprint things that you're trying to learn is to write them down. There's a physical and a visceral experience of taking in the information, and simply the act of writing it down gives you a better chance of remembering it. Other things, so I will often take note of specific brands of furniture that I like. If I see a brand that I like out in a shop or on Instagram or something, I'll note it down so that I can have reference to it later. I'll usually remember what field notes I had at the time I saw it, but I might not remember the brand, so I can then go to my stack of field notes, and usually within 2 to 3 field notes I found what I want. In this case, there's a particular brand of couch, Vetsac. I've just saw a few of their posts on Instagram. They look like the perfect couch, so I want to figure out whether I can go and try some of these couches out and if they should be my next couch purchase. Anyway, here I've got some kind of permanent information. This is color correcting information that I use to make these videos when I'm editing. Again, it's just a quick reference guide. There's guaranteed to be a way where I wouldn't have to write this down and I could just set up some template, but obviously this is more fun. And then I've got my long-term books to read notebook. I'll have a video coming out on the whole process around this separately, but basically if there are books that I note down that I want to keep track of, I transfer them over to this, and then I've got a whole other process of referring to this to decide which books of those to buy. Watch out for that video coming out later on. This is my investment notebook. Like I mentioned, if there are specific ideas or specific companies that I've noted down, I transferred those over. There were a few of those. And there were also a few notes that I transferred over to this book/online course idea that I have. And that's the beauty of carrying around a field notes notebook, because I tend to walk my dog at least once a day. I'm out doing other things. My pocket notebook is always with me. This much larger notebook is not. And I don't want this particular notebook to be covered in scratchings and unformed thoughts. The way I've set this up is to be a bit more of an organization notebook to put the ideas together. So having the idea or the thought put first into my pocket notebook means that there's a bit of a filter that happens so that when I transfer from here to here, I can think a bit more about the idea and transfer it in a bit more of a process state into my project notebook. Most of these notebooks tend to have their paired pen as well. So for this project notebook, I'm using this fine liner Le Pen that my wife brought me from the Netherlands. My EDC, I'm currently using the Parker 25, which I've been enjoying so much. And both my investing and my long-term book notebooks only get written in with pencil. And for that, I've got the Blackwing Natural with a homemade leather point protector. So that's it. There's my changing of the guards completed with my everyday carry pocket notebooks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.